The government is corrupted. The culture is corrupted. Individuals no longer care about their liberty. When people gather and protest what's being done, they're called white supremacists. They say we have two Americas now. We actually have more than that. But two in this sense. When you're being spoken to and talked down to by somebody on television who self-identifies as a journalist, they haven't lost their jobs. They get paid no matter what. The teachers' unions, their members get paid no matter what. The federal, state, local bureaucracies, they'll get paid no matter what. Now, there's some exceptions, but not many. In fact, in the county I live in, the teachers got a pay increase. They'll have their health insurance taken care of. Their pension payments will continue. They're utterly unaffected. Utterly unaffected. They go to the grocery store, the food's there. They fill up their car, the gasoline's there. They open their spigot, the water's there. The electricity's in their home, the natural gas is in their home, oil as they need their home. Everything is the same. They're utterly unaffected. Nothing's happened to them. And the vast majority of these individuals are Democrats. Not all, but the vast majority. So when we have these shutdowns or significant shutdowns in these states, economic shutdowns, and then civil liberties shutdowns, they don't care. Half the country doesn't give a crap. And part of that half knows if they go on the streets today and beat the crap out of people, calling themselves Black Lives Matter or Antifa, or if they set stores on fire or do whatever they want to do, nobody's going to stop them. The office of the president-elect, so-called, he'll put out a statement blaming white supremacists. White supremacists? What in the hell are they talking about? No, we need to continue to fight everywhere we can in every courtroom in the country, regardless of the outcome. Because everything's on the line. They've told us everything's on the line. Schumer said everything's on the table. Well, if everything's on the table, why would we surrender? Any single case, any single courtroom, why would we withdraw? That's why when you bring these Pollyannas in, these former federal prosecutors and others, I don't see the votes, I don't see the... Who cares what they see and don't see? They don't see the big picture. Or you have hosts on cable TV screaming at Trump people, where are you going to get the votes? Where are you going to get the votes? Where are you going to get the votes? When there are counts taking place, when there's litigation taking place, what do you mean where are we going to get the votes? We fight and fight and fight, and whatever it shall be, shall be. Tom in Ohio, how are you, sir?
Hi, Mark. Love your show. I am in Northeast Ohio, up near Lake Erie, but I grew up in Northeast Philadelphia, Oxford Circle. I'm 65 years old.
Well, I know where it is. I grew up in Cheltenham.
This is all driving us nuts.
Yep,
and I know where that is. So, and I just wanted to focus actually on the mailings. There were supposedly 80 to, I hear numbers of 100 million mailings nationwide.
No, Slow down. So we get the facts straight. There were 100 million early votes. Some in person, some mailing, some absentee ballots, but a tremendous number of mail-in votes. You're correct, maybe around 80 million or so.
Okay. So having said that, I remember the AG in Pennsylvania, I believe it was November 2nd, the day before Election Day, came out and said that by Friday, when all the votes are counted, Biden will have been elected president. In Pennsylvania, at least anyway, he will have won Pennsylvania. And I wondered, well, how can you make a statement like that if Trump won Pennsylvania in 2016? My thoughts were, if Pennsylvania is mailing out 3 or 4 million, whatever the number is, what was to stop them from holding on to 500,000 or more and dedicating those to Biden? I just was wondering, can these mailings be audited?
Can they be audited? Yes. Will they be audited? I don't know. That's the problem. I want to remind you of what Democrats and the media said in 2016 and 2017 after the election and during and before the inauguration. And this is only a minute and a half or so from our friends at Grabian. Cut 8, go.
I don't see this president-elect as a legitimate president.
You do not consider him a legitimate president.
Does he think that Democrats should put this away, this whole idea of legitimate, illegitimate?
The president's not going to get in the middle of this right now.
I get it, but you didn't answer the question. Yeah. Is Donald Trump legitimate?
I think there's a cloud of questions around what happened and his ties
there can
to
be
Russia.
clouds of questions, and we disagree on things, but honestly, I mean, yes or no, is he the legitimately elected president of the United States when he raises his hand?
We're counting on our law enforcement community to get to the bottom of these questions. He also won't.
Do you agree with John Lewis? Do you agree that Donald Trump is, in effect, not a legitimate president?
I think that there's no question that the process that elected him was not legitimate.
Do you agree with John Lewis on what point?
That the president-elect, although legally elected, is not legitimate for all the reasons.
Okay.
I believe, Congressman, that Donald Trump will be a legitimate president.
The legitimacy questions come up.
You say he will be president of the United States, but you're at least reluctant to say he will be the legitimate president of the United States. Is that right?
Figuratively, he is going to be president.
But isn't it more difficult now to work together when you've said flatly he's not even a legitimate president? I don't recognize his legitimacy. John Lewis said that.
John Lewis said that.
You believe he's a legitimate president?
Well, he was elected.
On the fact that Donald Trump can't stand hearing that somehow he's not a legitimate president,
And
that he
his
won fewer votes than Hillary Clinton.
can't bear to tell him the truth.
And now the delegitimization of the presidency is taking hold within the country.
Do you think it was a legitimate election?
I think that there are lots of questions about its legitimacy.
And it goes on and on and on. Notice how the report is it legitimate? Is it legitimate? Is it legitimate? Joe Biden gets no questions about anything. And they think we're going to unite. No, we have long damn memories. We're the resistance now. The difference is we're resisting tyranny. They were resisting the Constitution in a constitutional election. After all that litigation over the last several years to destroy various electoral processes in various states. That's why this has gone on and on. Then we have to hear John Podesta. John Podesta has been a sleazeball for virtually his entire life. He's worked for sleazeballs, and he is a sleazeball. And, of course, he's on MSNBC yesterday, where they embrace sleazeballs. In fact, they hire them. They give them jobs as hosts. Cut 10, go.
Well, the most important thing that is not being done is they don't have access to the federal agencies and the resources that they need.
Oh, that's too bad. Oh, I'm sorry. So what? So they can destroy the private sector? They don't have access to the agencies fast enough. You know, Obama did this to Trump, by the way. Obama, Biden. So, oh my goodness. Remember what Clinton did with Bush? Remember the computer keyboards that had letters missing and everything? Oh, this president's president for at least 2 more months, if not 2 months and 4 years. What they would do, ladies and gentlemen, is take that information and say, we had to refine it, we had to fix it, it was a mess and so forth. I look at it this way. Biden and all the grubby you-know-whats that surround him, get out of the way and let the president and his administration that has brought us to this point handle this. Get out of the way. Stop trying to obstruct. Speaking of principled patriots, Lin Wood does not like injustice, and he's willing to spend time to root out those who promote it. And he's one of the great lawyers in this country. Lin Wood, how are you, my friend?
Mark, I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, you know, we've all been better here watching this tyranny spread. Lin Wood, you brought a lawsuit in Georgia, and rather than have the media, filled, frankly, with a bunch of numbskulls, just put it down, I would like you to explain what you're doing in Georgia, because I think it's crucially important.
Thank you, Mark. I filed a lawsuit on my behalf as a elector, which means I voted in Georgia in person. My lawsuit is based on a consent agreement reached in March of 2020 by the Secretary of State with the Democratic Party in a lawsuit represented by Perkins Coie, also known as the Hillary Clinton firm, where they changed by consent agreement the rules relating to absentee ballots for the November general election. You can't do that. Any change in the rules with respect to a federal election and a state election has to be made as a matter of law by the legislature in Georgia. The legislature didn't do it. the election in Georgia on November the 3rd was unlawful. It also violated equal protection because there were less stringent confirmation rules for paper ballots versus the individuals like me who voted in person. It also violated due process. So we filed the lawsuit last week. We amended it yesterday to add the due process claim because the due process claim goes to the sham recount that's underway in Georgia right now. Later this evening, I'm going to be filing a motion for a temporary restraining order asking for an emergency hearing to stop this recount, not to certify the vote, because they are doing nothing more, Mark, than recounting the illegal votes. They're not doing one thing to determine valid versus invalid. The Secretary of State goes on TV and says that he is. The Secretary of State of Georgia is a liar. I don't make those types of accusations lightly. But I will tell you that our Secretary of State and our Governor, Brian Kemp, are dirty. They're corrupted by Chinese money. I know it based on evidence I've seen. Georgia's got a clean house. We've got to change our government, but first we've got to have a special session of the Georgia legislature called so that they can elect the electors to vote for Donald Trump, who, by the way, won a landslide victory in Georgia, as he did across the nation. Then they're going to have a new election on all the down ballots in January because the whole process was infected by the illegal absentee ballot procedure, and it was also infected with I'll call it a computer virus. The computer voting system in Georgia, Dominion, contained software that was manipulated where they control the voting, which in a network of corporations around the globe. This election was a fraud. Donald Trump won, I believe, clearly a 70% plus landslide election in the nation. He probably won over 400 electoral votes. So we're uncovering step by step the layers on the onion, and we're going to get to the truth. And the truth is Donald Trump has been reelected by this country to serve as president for 4 more years. The truth will come out.
You know, Lynn Wood, there was a time when PBS, back in October 26, not that long ago, a few weeks ago, the New York Times, NBC, they all did stories on this Dominion voter system, how it could be easily hacked. They did a story in September, how they slapped on some kind of change to it quickly. A lot of it was focused in Georgia. This Secretary of State, you make such an important point here. He doesn't have the power to cut a deal with the Democrats to change state election law. A judge doesn't have the power. A Secretary of State doesn't have the power. The governor doesn't have the power. Nobody has the power. Yet he does it in a consent decree with the Democrat Party. That is an abomination.
He did it in the dark of night. I talked to many legislators in Georgia. They didn't know it was even done. I'll tell you, Mark, when you look at what's happened in Georgia, and then you start connecting the dots around the nation, and you look at this Dominion computer system, voting system, the citizens of the state of Georgia cast their votes, and then their votes went around the globe where they were manipulated by software. This was not the first time that it was done. They did it, I've heard, clearly in 2012. Biden and Obama did it in Florida. Hillary Clinton used it in 2016, but her algorithm came up short. Donald Trump won by so many votes. They used it in 2018 in the midterm elections to win the House. This year, they added in the safeguard where if the computer algorithm, which can shift the votes 3%, did not provide enough votes, they've started bringing in the special ballots, the mail-in ballots. Donald Trump won by such a large margin that in the middle of the night they had to stop counting, and you'll see in key states they started bringing in ballots by the truckload. All of them for Biden, many of them in these mail-in ballots with little bubbles for you to circle the person you selected, all of them for Biden with perfect circles. I believe upon examination, you're going to find those perfect circles were made by a computer. This election was stolen, but they got caught.
You know, Linwood, people need to know that this company, it's a Canadian company, but it's really, you're right, it's many nations involved. It originally had ties.
It actually started.
I was just going to say, go ahead.
It started in Venezuela. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm sorry. It actually started in Venezuela. Chavez used it to win elections. Mm-hmm. They used the mechanism to sell to individuals or entities elections in other countries, Argentina, China. The ownership changed to Canada at some point, but the key is that this particular software is not only in Dominion voting systems, it infected and was used in many different voting systems. Check on the name SGO Smartmatic. Then they take that software to manipulate the votes in servers, Amazon servers in Barcelona and Frankfurt, owned by a company called Cytel. Mm-hmm. Then they manipulate the votes and report it out real time through a company called Clarity. And that's why people observed that this time they could see the votes actually being switched, where the Republican votes would go down, say, 1,000, and the Democratic vote would go up 1,000. This was a fraud, and they got caught. The American public is not stupid.
Your answer to people like Karl Rove, who was on TV last night, and he said the vote numbers in these major cities and these major battleground areas really were similar to what they were with Hillary Clinton. And your answer is, well, they were less this time around. They shouldn't have been similar to what Hillary Clinton got. Isn't that your point?
That's one of many points. Listen, I have to tell you that what I've learned over the past 2 weeks, I wouldn't trust a lot of Democrats, but I wouldn't trust a lot of Republicans. You look at the Republicans that are not fighting for the American people to have their vote counted and to have the president that they voted for elected, and I'm very suspicious of them. I've seen them on TV, and the ones that are sitting around saying this was done right, they're going to all be called out in due time because they are trying to defeat President Trump even within his own party.
Mm-hmm. Now, you're in federal court, I take it, or no?
I'm in federal court in Atlanta, Georgia, in the Northern District. Mm-hmm. Whatever the trial court rules will be subject to an appeal to the 11th Circuit. We got a good set of judges on the 11th Circuit. And then, obviously, it's subject to being appealed to the United States Supreme Court. But the law is clear. It's the same law that Justice Alito relied on in his earlier order in Pennsylvania. It's the same law that was relied on a couple of days ago when a state court judge ruled that the governor of California could not change the rules in California. It had to be done by the legislature.
Isn't it amazing, these forces that actually pose representative government? You know, on the one hand, the left wants to get rid of the Electoral College. They talk about, the national popular vote. The Washington Post had an editorial on that. And then they want judges, and as long as they agree with the result, and secretaries of state and governors to usurp the legislative power that's in Article 2 of the Constitution. They just believe in the ends justify the means, don't they?
Let me be straightforward and let's call it what it is. They want to overthrow the Constitution of our country. This is nothing more than a revolution, attempt to overthrow our government, a coup, in the disguise of an election. Turned out to be a fraudulent election by design. I think there are entities behind this that are globalist, like George Soros. I think there's an element of the military-industrial complex, but I'll tell you, the driving force, Mark, it's communist China. They have infiltrated our government at state, local, and national levels. Some people card-carrying communists. A number of people have been corrupted by Chinese money, and even subjected, I believe, to extortion. The American people need to wake up, and I think they are. We, the people, are not going to let somebody come in here and take over our government and take away our freedoms. The American public will fight back, and we will win. Just takes time.
Now, the Democrat Party, I mean, we got this big race in Georgia, 2 of them, and I guess this is one of the reasons you're also bringing this case and very concerned that we get this system fixed ASAP. The Democrat Party has openly said they want to destroy the Constitution. They want to destroy the judiciary and the Supreme Court. They want to destroy the Senate and pack it. They want to destroy the filibuster rule. They even want to destroy the Electoral College. So many Republicans in rural areas or less populated states lose the franchise effectively. They're not represented. The Washington Post, again, as I say, 2 days ago, was pushing this. These people really aren't kidding. So when people hear you, Linwood, talking about what you feel is taking place here, they really need to pay attention. Anyway,
they need to pay attention because I'm right. Mm-hmm. We have in this country right now a large group of people who have tried to influence the masses. The propaganda tool has been the mainstream media and the social media. I call them the socialistic media. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not even that partisan. I've voted for Democrats for president and Republicans for president. But you're right about what you said about me in the beginning of your show, Mark. I do not like injustice. I love truth. And truth is going to prevail in this country. This country was founded under God. It was meant to be free. Our Constitution was based on the laws of God in the Bible. And it's not a matter of trying to preach to people. It's a matter of trying to tell people to wake up, realize what this country was founded for and the principles that we stand for, and be principled people, not preferential people who go with whatever you prefer. Go with principles. The fundamental principle that I apply in my practice of law is I apply the principle of truth. The good, the bad, and the ugly. But the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. America is going to learn the truth soon that Donald Trump won an overwhelming landslide, probably historic victory. That's what everybody in the country felt. That's what the voters have felt. That's why you got 96-mile caravans in Arizona. That's why you've had millions go to rallies. The people in this country are not going to be denied their right to vote, and they're never going to be denied their freedom.
Linwood, we really appreciate what you're doing here. We'll keep close track of it, and just know there are millions of us who want you to succeed. And God bless you, my friend.
God bless you, Mark. Thank you very much.